Welcome to My Empower Project with your host, Erin Rowe. We will discuss nutrition, fitness, becoming your own boss, and just becoming better every day. I invite you to join My Empower Project as we embark, embrace, encompass, and enlighten.
1 year ago this week exactly, my girlfriends and I cheers macaroons on the top of the Eiffel Tower just after our morning croissants on Rue Claire in Paris. I may be health conscious, but I do have a confession. I have a huge sweet tooth, and I think most of us enjoy desserts like donuts, pastries, and baked goods. My favorite food is not pizza. It's a tie between brownie fudge sundaes, warm chocolate chip cookies topped with chocolate ice cream, cheesecake, which I like layered with brownies, creamy milk chocolate, and my mom's homemade cream puffs. When I began transitioning into my new normal and elevated my lifestyle, I found a way to still enjoy sweet flavors thanks to Dana. She created sweetened stevia. It's 0 calorie, gluten-free, and there's so many flavors. And the best protein for baking that I have tried. I eat pancakes constantly, and I use Dana's Angel Food Cake Protein. Today, I'll share my chat with Lynn Kaye, the founder and owner of Devotion Nutrition. Hey Dana, thanks for being on My Empower Project. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you thinking of me.
Well, I love strong women who build businesses. I always try to encourage everybody to do something that they really have a passion for. So correct me if I'm wrong, back in 2013, you wanted to put an end to the boring foods. And what made you follow through with actually creating the company and your idea?
Well, I actually came up with the concept back in 2006. I was competing in my first figure competition out in Los Angeles, California. And it was the first time I really dieted down to really get the body fat off. I had to for competing in figure. And my diet kept getting more and more strict, and the foods kept getting more and more bland. And I started getting a little desperate in the kitchen because I'm a person, I have a sweet tooth, and I've always loved food. And I started getting desperate, and just out of coincidence, I'm third generation in the flavor industry. My parents own a very large flavoring company. They started when I was in junior high, and my grandfather was a flavor salesman. My father's a flavor salesman, and my mom is a food scientist. So they started this company, and their flavor library is extensive. And so it dawned on me while I was dieting for this show, and I was eating a lot of oatmeal, a lot of shakes, a lot of egg whites, a lot of cream of rice, a lot of boring foods. I called home and I was like, can you guys go into the library and pull me out a bunch of really fun flavors that I can add to my oatmeal? And I was buying all these different protein powders, and I was trying to make them taste good, and I was adding flavors to them and adding Jello and flavors and diet soda, whatever I could do. And I'm like, geez, there's nothing on the marketplace to help people, stay devoted to their plans, to their diets. And really, because really during a diet, you start craving all these foods that you can't eat. And you're like, oh, I want birthday cake. Oh, I want this. Oh, I want a cupcake. And it's you start seeing these foods and you just crave those flavors and those tastes. And so I started to add those flavors to my morning oats and my shakes. And I had this idea geez, this would be a great little business to sell these flavors for people who, are craving all of these desserts and things. But it just the timing wasn't right. And shortly after I competed, I went home to New Jersey and I got married. I had a honeymoon baby. I gained a lot of weight. I gained about 70 pounds with my first pregnancy. And then I had a set of twins 3 years later and gained more weight. And after the twins, I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I gained so much weight. So I said, by next year, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, and I'm going to get on stage again. And so I started dieting again. And again, the foods were really bland. And this time I was working for my parents' company. I was back home in New Jersey, and I walked right into the lab myself, and I started collecting flavors again. And I started bringing them home, and I was like, okay. And I pitched the idea to my mom, and she said, you know what? There's nothing out there like it. And if you don't do it, somebody's going to do it. And so she was like, go for it. So I went for it. And the word devotion came along because I realized that to accomplish your goals and then is one thing. You've got to stick to a plan, but then to stay, you know, a lot of people lose weight and then they gain it back. And that's because they don't stay devoted to their new lifestyle. And so I was like, this is about staying devoted to your lifestyle. This is about devotion. This is about really committing to a lifestyle of health and fitness and eating healthy, making healthy food decisions, and not always giving in to every craving, but here are the tools to help you. So that's how it all kind of came about.
The name devotion's awesome because it takes, like you said, the discipline, but then the devotion, that's like big part of it. So I love that.
Yeah.
Name.
You have to be devoted. I mean, it's very rare to hear a person be like, oh, I don't really love food. Oh, I don't want birthday cake. Oh, I don't want, so it's like, but every time, if you're trying to accomplish a goal or you have weight loss goals, you're going to have to, I'm not saying you always have to say no, that's not what life's about either. But you do have to exercise a lot of discipline, and sometimes staying devoted to what you set out to accomplish. It's going to take some no's. It's going to take some sacrifice to get there. And so, the name was like, okay, well, what do you do to stay there, to live your best life? And I was like, you stay devoted. It's devotion to what you love and to feeling great. And if you feel great, you can do what you love. Even it doesn't have to be competing in figure, it doesn't have to be getting body fat. It can be to your yoga, to running, to skiing, to anything that you love, just being a healthy mom or dad or whatever. So it really came down, and it's a strong word to use, but I felt like, the company was going to be worthy of it.
Absolutely. All right. So you had flavors in your family. You could have done like drops. What made you do the powdered stevia for the listeners who don't know? What made you do that for?
Well, the drops, the liquid drops were on the market, and I went out and I did play with the drops, and I did buy some of the other companies' drops. And what would happen was I would buy a thing of drops, and they were also about $15.99 to $20, depending on, how expensive these stevia drops are. And it was one little bottle, and I would use them in my coffee in the morning, and I'd head off to work, and then I would want my midday coffee, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, my drops are at home. And I was like, well, you know what? We need something that's portable. You need something that you can throw some sticks in your purse, and you can throw some sticks in your desk at work, and you can have some sticks at home next to your coffee maker, and you don't have to buy so many bottles. And so I thought, you know what? And the other thing is I like to sprinkle the drops are very concentrated. So I wanted like a powder, like a sweetener that you could sprinkle on your cucumbers or sprinkle in your oatmeal, sprinkle in. And so I liked that, and I liked that they were portable. So finally I just thought, you know what? Let's just do them in something portable. A stick pack is perfect. And that's kind of how the stick pack idea came along.
It's awesome.
And the name Flex Flavors, because it's like being flexible, like having these flexible, it's kind of like a double meaning, like, flex, you think of flex being in shape, and then flex being like, these are flexible flavors. You can use them in all sorts of applications, foods, and they're flexible. You can take them anywhere.
Yeah. I always have the sticks in my purse, like always. So if I go to a diner and I have coffee, I'm like, take the sugar. I'm using my flavors, like creme brulee, caramel. I love it.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah. So coffee, oatmeal, and then I also put them in my protein pancakes. People can't believe that I can train for a show and eat pancakes every night, but I do. So
I just ate pancakes last night. I got home from Hawaii. I had no groceries, and it was like, oh, I guess I'm eating pancakes tonight. And I had my devotion and some egg whites and threw them together, threw a banana flex flavor in there, and I had banana pancakes for dinner.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the idea to add protein and the brownie batter to your collection of flex flavors?
Well, I was always experimenting with proteins, and I had a counter filled with all different brands, all different flavors. And I'll be honest, none of them impressed me. I was always adding things to thicken them up because a watery isolate to me is just not a pleasurable shake. And I have, I've always believed in taking in a lot of protein. I just, that's been the majority like of my diet is like every meal I have, about 25 grams of protein. And the protein, I couldn't stand that off protein taste. Protein has this, it's just, there's some proteins I can't even stomach. And then the isolates didn't bake well. And the things that I love to do is I like to eat I love to eat my protein. I like making protein fluff. So I used to add like, sugar-free pudding. And I used to and it was, I was adding a lot of sugar-free pudding. I'd buy that stuff and thicken it up, but it was adding more calories. It was throwing things off. And then I wanted to be able to bake with my protein. I wanted to make like loaves and waffles. And my mom was big into making pancakes. And so I actually, to tell you the truth, I was using a protein brand that I'd finally found. And I was so excited. They were great. And I was telling everybody about this protein. I thought it was the most phenomenal protein. It tasted great. It functioned great. And one day I was at the gym and an article was released, and it was sent to me by one of my friends who I had suggested this protein. And I found out that this protein company was amino spiking. So in simple terms, it means they were making false label claims. They said that per scoop, there were 25 grams of protein in a scoop. And meanwhile, there was only 12 grams of protein in the scoop. They were spiking it with other amino acids that on a nitrogen test were showing as they were grams of protein. So it was filled with fillers like creatine and other amino acids. And I sat at the gym and I actually felt like so sad and violated. I couldn't believe I was being lied to. And I knew that these companies, owners were doing it for money because protein is very expensive. It's a loss leader. I don't make a lot of money off of my protein. And I swore I don't ever want to use anybody's protein again. I was so sad. So I went around and I collected all these different protein labels, and I went through and I'm like, okay, what do I like about this one? And what do I like about that one? And what do I want my protein to be able to do and taste like? And I had this huge list, and I marched into my parents' lab, and I went to the people who actually do, who work on all the products. And I was like, this is what I want to accomplish. And we got to work. It took us 2 years to develop, to really source. I wanted digestive enzymes. I wanted MCT. I wanted a very specific blend of isolate and a micellar casein. I wanted there were so many things I wanted, and I just thought I have to take my time with this. It needs to be able to fluff into ice cream. It needs to be able to bake and keep the moisture. It needs to make an icing or pudding. It needs to make a great shake. I mean, I was just like, I'm going to ask a lot out of these proteins. And then I thought, you know what? I don't need many flavors. I don't want people's cabinets, countertops to look like my countertops did. I just want them to have their angel food cake, their kind of vanilla base, and their brownie batter, their chocolate, and then they'll have these flex flavors, and they can, whatever they're in the mood for. But I don't want you to have to buy 2 pounds of banana, and every day you're having a banana shake, and you're like, you know what, I'm really over banana today. I don't want to do banana. I would like to do mint chocolate chip. I would like to do, and so then I thought, okay, now we're turning this really into like a lifestyle brand. I mean, we even make coffee creamer out of the protein. I mean, we do everything with our protein. So all of a sudden, it was kind of like cleaning up people's life, making it simple, not overcomplicating, even though these products can get very complicated because you can do so much with them. I didn't want it to be where, we had so many options that people were overwhelmed, and, so that's how the whole brand came together.
I love it. Thank you for making those. It's true. I always have a backup because I'm like, I can't run out of this stuff, because I do. I use it for icing. Tell me about the fluff. For those listening, what is your infamous fluff?
Okay, so protein fluff is basically just a scoop of the protein, 2 cups of ice, a cup of water, and then any flex flavor of your choice, because then you can, but it is like soft serve ice cream. I'm a volume eater. And so to me, having a little small cup of ice cream is just not going to cut it. Like I want to fill up on like a big bowl of ice cream, but obviously ice cream that we think about, like a Ben and Jerry's tub, is not going to help us get to our goals. So, so this protein fluff, actually, I mean, you can make it in a Vitamix, a NutriBullet, a food processor is one of my favorite ways because it becomes giant, but you just let it basically blend and blend and blend and blend till it fluffs up into this smooth, creamy protein ice cream. And the base is just, either you can use egg whites, you can use water, you can use almond milk, but basically one scoop of angel food cake is 100 calories. So there's no sugar and 20 grams of protein. So, I mean, you can eat this massive bowl of protein fluff before bed and crush this late night ice cream craving and then wake up with abs. It's like have your shake and eat it too. That's like the whole idea of this. So yeah, that's part of like the devoted lifestyle, to feel satisfied and filled up and then still be accomplishing your goals.
And you bring variety with the flavors, which is awesome. So it never gets old. On your website, you have a lot of recipes. When you started the brand, did you set out to like go in your kitchen and make these recipes, or that kind of came about later?
We knew that recipes were going to come with like this awesome protein because there was so much you could do with it. And then same thing with the flex flavors. And then we had to show people how to apply them. So like where to put them, because a lot of times, people, if I just handed you a stick and you didn't know anything, you'd be like, what am I doing with this? And then all of a sudden I show you these and you're like, oh my gosh, the world opened up. We could turn one stick into 12 different things to show, oh, you can put it on your cereal, you can put it in your oats. If you have Greek yogurt, you can make a little parfait. If you have, it's like all of a sudden like this, so the recipes were part of the education of the product of like what to do with them. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. And then we had so many social media recipe creators so excited to use the stuff that then their recipe, cookies and cakes and waffles and pancake stacks and everything just started emerging, and people were going nuts because they were taking their normal protein pancakes and turning them into like Fruity Hoops, stacks. And it was just, it just took off. It was really cool to see everybody's creations getting creative with these products.
I think mint chocolate chip is the only one I haven't tried. And maybe butter, those two. Oh my God,
those are two really. If you add the mint chocolate chip to a brownie batter pudding, it tastes like a Girl Scout cookie.
Oh,
yes, it's so good.
Amazing.
And then the golden butter it's such a hit. I mean, people put it all over their veggies. It's great in coffee. We make our lattes out of it. I mean, I put golden butter on rice, on cauliflower rice, on your mashed potato. I mean, everything that you'd want butter on, but you don't want to eat all that butter. Golden butter is amazing. It's so good.
How many flavors do you have now with the flex flavors?
So we have 15 currently. We started with 10, added 5 more, then discontinued 8 of them and added 8 fresh flavors. And so right now we have 15, and we're kind of riding these out for a little bit, seeing how these go. And then maybe we'll discontinue some of the slower sellers and then add, more. And so we're kind of, it's just, it's evolving, and we're seeing what sticks and what people want. We had done fruit flavors in the beginning. We had strawberry fields and blueberry sky, but we realized like most people eat fruit and they're not craving fruit. So other than like bananas Foster's, we kept that one in. That one's a good one. But we realized people want monster cookie and they want mint chocolate chip and they want the desserts that are off limits, and like creme brulee, coconut biscotti, like all these monkey bread. Like that was one of my favorite. It's a brown sugar cinnamon. And so finally it was like, let's just do flavors that like people want, but they can't have. So that's been the theme right now. Really decadent things.
I think I first picked up a variety pack at a booth at one of the shows. Did you create this like specifically thinking of fitness competitors?
It started that way. And those were the people who really got it from the beginning. Because we could be really diluted. We could go, when you think about devotion, you're like, this is great for Weight Watchers. This is great for diabetes. This is great for gastric bypass. This is great. But it's like, oh my God, your head could spin and pop off when you think of all the areas that you could be in. So in the beginning, we streamlined it to, like I said, let's just go after bodybuilders. They get it. If a bodybuilder walks up to the booth and you say, hey, do you eat oatmeal? Hey, do you drink protein shakes? It's a no-brainer. They are so excited to add flavor. It was, where this whole idea started when I came up with the idea. So I was like, okay, start there. Get it going in the fitness industry, because also those are the people who are on Instagram. They're seeing us. They're on social media. People are following their fitness journeys and all of that. But it started to catch on. And then we had the Weight Watchers community say, well, these are great for us too. And there's only one, smart point in a scoop, and there's no smart point. There's no points in flex flavors. So it was like, okay, let's go the Weight Watchers route. And so then they picked up on it, and then gastric bypass picked up on it because they want the pudding and they want the flavors. So really, and then people with diabetes, and that segment took off. So we could really be anywhere, but I just started with what I knew.
Well, I'm glad you were at that booth that day, because I have like an infinite stock. I mean, like you said, with the pancakes, I have made every concoction and tried every brand that doesn't bake. Yep. Yours is the best brand for pancakes. I really love it.
I used to make the pancakes and with an isolate, and I would literally, there were times when I was choking. I would need liquid to help me swallow the pancakes because they were like cardboard. And I'm like, this is not okay. Like, these are not. And then if I did make the recipes where they were moist, I was adding so much to the recipe, applesauce, Greek yogurt. And I'm like, wait a second, now it's totally changing, the macros of what I need. So I just was like, I need a protein that I could literally add water or eggs to and mix it, throw it on a griddle, and it's moist and I can eat it like a pancake. And so that's what I wanted to accomplish, and mission accomplished.
Yeah, they actually taste like pancakes, not like you're forcing yourself to eat like, the bro diet pancakes.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not okay. Yeah.
How did you get the word out at first about your brand? Like, I'm very curious about branding and getting people familiar with your products.
Purely social media and bodybuilding shows. I used to work almost a show every weekend. In the tri-state area. I was in New Jersey. I was hitting shows in New Jersey, some Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut. We had shows going in California. We had shows going in Texas. Anywhere that we had people who were connected to the brand that, who were involved in growing the brand, we would basically say, okay, if you can drive to the show, or you can make it like, an overnight. We did USAs in Las Vegas. We just hit every show, got samples into everyone's hands we possibly could. We sponsored shows. We put samples in goodie bags, and then social media. I mean, social media is huge. And like I said, with fitness people, they love to share how they're accomplishing their goals. So and then with recipe creators, they love to share recipes and what they're using and how to have a successful recipe. Because if you're a recipe creator and you're making pancakes and somebody does your recipe, but they use a protein that doesn't work, and they'll be like, ew, your recipe's horrible. Well, it's like, well, it matters about the ingredients too. So then recipe creators were excited to say, use Devotion. It's the only one that works. It's phenomenal. So it's just started to roll. And then people were like, oh, you're right. This is the best protein I've ever baked with. And then, people started realizing that you could do so much with it. So yeah. And word of mouth, people recommending it to each other, just like I was recommending that other protein to my friends. And so people were doing that. Coaches were recommending it to their clients so that they would have success. Because really a coach's success is if you've got clients, reaching their goals. So that was important. So coaches were like, oh my gosh, this is a great tool to help my clients, meet their goals. So
yeah. And every time I take a stick out of my bag to add to the coffee, people are like, what is that? And I'm like, I pour some, I'm like, taste it.
Yes, exactly. That was the idea, to have something like cool and catchy. And that way, whenever I go to Starbucks and I pull it out and people are on an airplane, people smell my pumpkin pie flex. They were like, what is that? What are you putting in your coffee? And, it's a little conversation. So.
Well, my assistant, Rachel, she's going to put in the notes below where people can try your different flavors. Where can we find you online?
So my website is just devotionnutrition.com. Super easy. We have a great Instagram page too. We always post fun stuff in our stories, and we have a good page. And then we're on Pinterest and YouTube. If you just go to Devotion Nutrition, we have videos now on how to make all of these recipes, like tons of recipes. So YouTube is a great place for us too. We just started building that with tons of videos. So we're all over the place, but our website to purchase is just devotionnutrition.com.
Perfect. Well, I have a lot of recipes I need to try. I have them like screenshotted. I'm like, I'll try this next week. I'll try this one next
for
week.
it. Yes. And then post it up. Well, we love to repost fun creations too.
Well, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was so nice to chat with you.
You too.
Have a great day.